Welcome back to Fitness to Influence. Today, I have one of my friends, Julie Fagan of PB Fingers, on the podcast, and I am so excited for you guys to hear about her journey from working as a professional in an office into becoming one of the OG full-time bloggers. So welcome, Julie. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm so excited to be here and talking with you again. I feel like we need a trip again.
I know we go way back and we used to do a ton of trips. We were some of the OG bloggers, but even before that, I want to hear more about you. What did you major in college and what did you want to actually be when you became an adult, if you will?
So in college, my degree is in advertising and public relations with a marketing minor. And I always thought I would want to be in a PR firm. I really enjoyed the writing side of things. So more like somebody in charge of press releases, speech writing, that sort of thing. I just still love writing, which kind of parlayed into blogging. But that was sort of the career path that I was headed on, was just PR. I thought it could be fun to do it like for a big corporation, just kind of managing reputations through words was more of my interest.
And you just started blogging after hours, right? And you just kind of kept doing it. I mean, I think your strong suit, your superpower is your consistency. And so tell me about that jump from doing it after hours at work to going full time.
I actually did it at work too, which is like pretty terrible. But it was like it was like my second job, I think, maybe third job out of college. And I always like did what I was supposed to. And I remember asking my bosses, like, do you have anything else for me to do today? And they would just be like, no, it's cool. So I would just like start working on my blog, and I would sometimes blog at work. And then I did most of it outside of work, but I did a little like during lunch and whatever. But yes, I kind of started that way and just would blog about my morning, my afternoon, and then my evening, and really enjoyed connecting with people just through my blog. And it sort of let me scratch the itch of my love of writing, but it let me write about what I wanted to write about. And my job at the time, I was writing about like asbestos and cancer. And so like it let me have a little bit more of a lighthearted place on the internet to really talk about, some serious things, but more just like fun, everyday things that like a 20-year-old cares about.
And how did you initially get those first few readers? Were they friends and family? How did you start to amass an audience? Because again, you were one of the big heavy hitters in the early OG days of healthy living blogging, as they called it back then.
Definitely friends and family were my first readers. I still remember like I was kind of embarrassed to tell some of my girlfriends we were on a trip together, and I was telling like some of my college friends, and they're like, oh my gosh, you have to do this. I can't wait to read it. And then from there, I don't know if you remember this, but back in the day, like a lot of people found blogs through the comment sections. So I feel like we would like all like comment on each other's blogs, and then you started to see the same people popping up. And then I think some people found me that way. And then I think probably the biggest turning point for me when I started to see my traffic really get bigger and people stick around was I was so nervous, but I loved these carrots and cake. Tina was her name. I loved her blog. I was like a super fan. And I reached out to her because she was coming to Orlando, and I was just like a small little blog. And I was like, hey, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to go to dinner. And this was like before social media. But I was like, here's my blog. So like, I'm not a creepy internet person. And she said yes, which was like very kind. And then Gina from Fitnessista and Caitlin from Healthy Tipping Point were both there as well. So I met these women who were very wonderful about just like including me. And then when they shared my blog on their blogs, it really helped give me some exposure from people that were already kind of interested in that sort of content. And that was huge for me. So that was a really big turning point. And then just, I think, continuing to post and people recognizing that there was going to be consistency if they visited my blog. There was going to be new content 3 times a day for years and years and years.
And you still have a series, Your Favorite Things,
yes.
Friday. If I'm getting the exact name wrong, correct me. But did I get it right?
I'm loving Friday, but you're very close.
Friday. I get like your whatever the RSS feed is
yes.
for your stuff. I told you that a long time ago. Still do. What week are you on now, or what number is it?
It's 500 something. I was actually starting to work on it this morning, like before the kids were up. It's just because I had like one I wanted to talk about, and then sometimes I'll add to it throughout the week so that it's not quite as daunting on Friday morning to write. But yeah, it's 5 something. I can't remember exactly, but kind of crazy.
You've just been so consistent. And so, before you started before the age of Instagram. And one thing that I admire is that you never got distracted from the main thing. You always knew that your main thing was your blog. And I remember very early on, you kind of almost made a comment. You're like, I'm just focusing on my blog. I'm not worried about all the Instagram stuff. And I was kind of like, You're not.
You're
You're not
gonna
gonna
die.
like dive in. Yeah, no, I mean not literally, but I was like, oh, okay, all right. Like you do you, Julie. But tell me about, did you have a strategy, or were you kind of just winging it like a lot of us?
I mean, I feel like as anybody who you had a huge transition from like YouTube to blog to social media. Like, I think a lot of people, we've had to adapt and learn new skills and kind of lean into certain avenues that maybe we never thought we would. But I had a moment after my second son was born where I was kind of like, ask myself, when I have time to work, like what brings me joy? Like, where am I getting the most satisfaction from, both from like a career path, but also from, just a lucrative path too. Like where is my foundation? And it always was the blog, like just still is the blog. And if I have an extra moment, like I want to write a blog post. That still is what I just love doing. It's what I love, where I love connecting with people. So I kind of gave myself a pass on social media. And I was like, hey, listen, like I don't love showing up on social media all the time. And so the fact that I just kind of pop in when I want and don't pop in when I don't want to is really great. Like I can just go dark for a week. And I mean, I'll get a few messages here and there, but like people don't really think I'm like, something's happened, So I like that I don't feel pressure to show up every day. And then a year or so ago, I started to kind of reevaluate that again, because it would be a stupid business decision for me to just completely ignore it. Like I was getting a lot of partnerships and like I make a good living from the affiliate links and stuff that I share on social media. So just completely getting rid of it would be very dumb as a business person. But I about a year ago was like, I really don't love doing a lot of brand partnerships on social media because they have all these things that they want you to say, these topics that you need to hit. And it just feels so just yucky to me and inorganic. So I took a big shift last year and stepped away from a lot of partnerships. And then I still make money through Instagram and stuff, through affiliate links, but it's just stuff that I want to talk about. It's just stuff that I'm already loving and that I'm already sharing. And I mean, I've accepted a few partnerships here and there, like a Target one, because I love Target. Like that was easy. But there's other ones that I just said, you know what, this feels awkward to me to talk about. Like I just want to talk about the things that I love and that I feel like will resonate with my readers. So kind of focusing my social media presence on sharing just my life and day-to-day topics has worked well for me.
So you mentioned something about affiliate links.
Yes.
So the holidays are coming up. This is obviously a very busy, very stressful time of year almost for people like us. So when you do your affiliate links, are you using LTK, Amazon, or other platform? And what is your strategy? Like, do you have gift guides already ready to go out to go live like this week and next week? And when you decide which products to include, and sorry, this is two-part, I'll try to remember it, how do you go about doing that? Because like, I know you are an Amazon partner. Like we got an Excel sheet that had over 350,000 items that were going to be on sale.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. So what's your kind of strategy there, and which platforms do you gravitate to?
Amazon for me is by far and away my most successful platform. And I understand that because that's where I shop the most. Like it is easy. The conversion rates are so good there because it takes like 2 clicks, you get it in 2 days. Like I understand that. There are certain changes that I've made within the Amazon platform that have been very helpful. One is like changing the type of links to links that will open in people's apps versus just taking them like to Amazon and then it kind of doesn't always open to the product. So little tweaks like that have been really, really crucial for me. And then I do use reward style like to know it. Gosh, that shows you how old I am because the reward style is what it was. I don't heavily use the LTK app because I don't personally find it user friendly. Like when I click on other people's stuff, sometimes it opens, sometimes it doesn't. Like I've even corresponded with them about this. Hey, if I have a partnership, I'll link to this product, but I really don't like linking to it through the app because the app is so annoying.
It is a pain in the butt. And what service are you using for the links with Amazon? Are you using URL Genius or something?
PostTap is what it's called. I'm looking in my browser right now. It's called PostTap for creators. And it was one that Amazon recommended and it only works for Amazon links. So I don't use any, the only ones I use for the other ones are LTK. LTK and Amazon are pretty much the two affiliate linking services that I use. And then anything that's not on them, I just, say, here you go, companies, and I don't get a kickback, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean the amount that you might make from it too is just not nominal. It's not worth the effort. And how do you create your guides for this special? I actually have an episode going live technically today, the day that we're filming this, about kind of my strategy that I did this year. But I'm curious about yours.
For gift guides, they are probably the most time-consuming posts that I create every year, but I love doing them. Like I joke with my husband, like if somebody would pay me to buy gifts for people as a job, I would leave this in a second and go do that. Like I love gift giving and I love trying to think outside the box, like what's something that like not everybody's getting or what's something that would really make this person happy. But when it comes to creating my own gift guides, I really heavily rely on like with my children, what has worked with me, my friends, family, that sort of thing. So when I create the gift guides, specifically with children, I just had my first one go up today for kids ages 3 to 5, like 99% of the stuff on there is stuff that has been tried and true within our house, within our kids. And a lot of them, because we have 3 kids, I kind of feel like I have a decent, my head wrapped around gifts that will work for years and that many kids will like, not just, oh, this was a one-off, this kid liked this, Tony's. No, actually like 3 of them did. So this is a good one to recommend. So I think that helps me feel very confident in the gift guides that I do create because they are, a passion project that are stuff that I truly think kids or other people will love.
And my last one on this topic before we switch gears to just balancing is, what about Amazon fashion? Like do you order a ton of stuff, try it on, only show the ones that you like and then return the rest? How do you do that?
Amazon fashion is a beast, huh? That is one that's kind of tricky where I feel like now, oddly, there's like, not oddly, I'm sure you've seen them. There's like Amazon fashion influencers out there that literally just share Amazon apparel. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that I like tried has just been because I've seen it on somebody that has a similar body type to me. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Like that could work on me. Like she's got a booty, she's got hips. Like I'll order those jeans, or whatever. And then, so I think seeing it on a real person, and then I am such a stickler for reviews. Like if something doesn't have any reviews, and bless the people out there that take the time to like share all their stats and post their pictures and videos, because that's the stuff that I feel like I take chances on. So I don't feel like I'm returning a ton, but I also have kind of realized like I have better luck with like sweatshirts or sweaters versus like really like fancy dresses. Like those kind of look cheaper. So that's kind of where I've landed.
I agree. All right, we're going to transition now to being more of like a self-employed, work from home mom. That's what I call myself.
I know. I always say I live in a limbo zone. Like I have a lot of stay-at-home mom friends and like I relate to some stuff with them. And then I have like a lot of working mom friends. I relate stuff from them, but I'm in this like weird limbo.
That's, for all of us that do this, that we are all in that same boat. We love the flexibility. And I joke around that this really is the closest job to like having it all. But at times it's really hard. So my question for you, and there's a bunch, but my first one is, how do you balance being a mom, but you work from home with your kids? Do you wake up extra early? I know you wake up early to exercise. I'll let you tell everybody that, do you wake up early? Do you have a nanny? How do you balance it all during the day?
We've never had childcare. I did have somebody that I hired after I had my 3rd son who helped watch my 3rd son 2 mornings a week from like 9 until noon for 6 hours. And it was so helpful. I said that Anne Marie like breathed life into me in that area of my life. But now, so I feel like there's 2 ways to answer this question. Before the kids were in school, it was absolutely insane because I was trying to find tiny pockets of time, and that would be 5 to 7 a.m. was probably my best and most productive time. I am a morning person. So I would work then, like I'm way better. My brain is a lot better than it would be in the evening. So I'd work from then, and then I'd work during nap time, but then add a couple more kids in the picture, all of a sudden one kid's napping, but the others aren't. So that was really hard. Finding a gym with childcare was helpful to me because I used to always work out before work when I had a desk job. And then with kids, I was like, you know what? Like, this is good for them to get out and to be around other people other than just us because we didn't have family living in the area. And I didn't want them to be so reliant on us. So like 45 minutes a day, they would go to gym childcare. I would get my workout in the morning. And that was unbelievably helpful. I became like a Burn Boot Camp super fan because of that. But now that they're in school-ish, I have a preschooler and then I have 2 in elementary school. When my son is in preschool, he's in preschool from like a little less than 4 hours, 4 mornings a week. That is like my dedicated work time. But I say that to say any other stay-at-home mom, work from home mom, any mom like out there knows, rarely is there a day that all of that time can be work time. Like that's when, can you help in the classroom for this? Oh, you need to go to the doctor? You probably should schedule it then. Oh, the dentist, I always joke, I have 4 mornings a week to work, but really it feels like I get 2 that I could truly dedicate to work time. And that's why I still kind of rely on that 5 to 7 a.m. time to work. And if not work, then sometimes when I'll work out. But now that Rhett's a little bit older, he can be awake when I work out. And that's great versus a baby that's crying. So sometimes, it's kind of tricky to juggle all that, but it just changes. And I think leaning into the flexibility of motherhood saved me versus like trying to be like, oh, this is how it's going to be forever. Like, no, you have to be flexible. You have to be malleable. Like that realization was very, very helpful for me.
And so you probably do a little bit of work outside of that, I'm assuming. Maybe you get like a email on your phone. How do you balance not being on your phone? Because I know all of us don't like being on our phones in front of our kids. None of us want to be. But of course, we inevitably are at certain points. You know, my kids will even be like, will you look this up? Like we constantly, and then I see an alert for work. And how do you balance trying to not be on your phone when the kids are around?
That is a great question. I feel like I made it 9 years until I had one of the boys say, hey, mom, you know, like, oh, can you look up? And I was like, oh my gosh. So it took 9 years for Chase to finally say something to me. And that was over the summer when I didn't have my dedicated work time. Like everybody was home all the time. So what I found with that was like really made me feel awful. And so I said, all right, you know what? I need to kind of treat this like my husband treats his job, you know, where I would basically say, okay, guys, we can get a babysitter or a nanny, or mom needs an hour and a half, 90 minutes in my office for my work time. And they understood that. Like they're old enough to respect that. And that really, really helped. And so I would say, you can come in if you have any questions, if you need anything, but like, this is truly mom's work time. And I think also them realizing that mom has a job too, even though it looks very different. And I've kind of tried to talk to them about how I feel so grateful that my job lets me take you to school or pick you up from school, or I get to go do these fun things with you. But it does also mean that I have to sneak in little pockets of work here and there. And so like they know in the mornings, you know, if they wake up at 6:30, I'm going to be on my computer, but they know that and they're like cool with that. They get it. But I think trying to be very, very communicative and vocal with, all right, this is my work time. This is time that we can be together was really helpful during the summer. Now during the school year, I am so like, I'm pretty rigid with like, all right, I'm closing up shop. When the kids are done with school, like I'm done with work. And occasionally I'll share like something quickly on Instagram, like here and there, if I'm like folding laundry and they're playing upstairs. I'm like, oh, I could, you know, film this really quick. But if like they're around, or sometimes they want to be in the video, they'll like help me make a recipe and I'll be like, show them. And I'm like, okay. But for the most part, I'm pretty like, if you pay attention to my Instagram, it kind of like dies after 2:30, 3 o'clock, because I'm really not on it or around it with the kids that often. So I don't know if that answers everything you asked.
It does. Well, I struggle. I have clients, so I obviously have the nutrition fitness component, and I have 550 clients who are like texting me at all times, and I also get the Instagram alerts, and I really struggle to not be on my phone to want to like answer the questions.
Responding to Instagram DMs from my laptop has been huge. Like I will try, because I agree, like Instagram DMs you cannot keep up. It's like the emails of yesteryear with blogging. Like you just can't keep up. And I cannot even fathom people that have like, I mean, you're over 100,000 followers. Like I can't even fathom like people with millions. Like there's no way, because I try my best, but I try to allot computer time for that versus like checking in on my phone when I'm around the kids. And that is very helpful.
Love hearing everybody else's strategy, because everybody has different things. And so it's so fascinating to me, because we're all, and again, our oldest are about the same age. And it's like, we're kind of encountering the same mile markers. And it's like, now Tommy's like, I want a phone. I'm like, oh, hell
right,
no.
I know.
At least that I'm like, wait for 8. Like that's what we in New England, there's this big push, wait to 8th grade for the kids. And but then they're like, but mom, you're on YouTube. And I'm like, I was on YouTube before we knew what was YouTube.
Yeah, and this
like,
is my job. And I think
on.
explaining to the kids too, like sometimes like we would have partnerships, like I use Target as an example, like they got a Hot Wheels thing because of mom's job. And they were like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then Chase's like, do you want me to show people how to use it? And I was like, well, okay. Like, so them kind of understanding like, there are some really great things that happen for you too because of this is kind of neat. But I always, I feel like there's a whole nother beast we're going to have to navigate as they get older.
Totally. Tommy's going to get to go to the Celtics in a few weeks. He's going to be pretty pumped through work.
Yes, he will.
He's
I know. When we did Great Wolf Lodge, I'm like, okay, we've hit the pinnacle for them. Now we have to now we're going this year. We're just paying big out because I don't want to have to like share anything. I just want to like be able to be there. But yeah.
And that was another thing, is that it's like, there are some aspects that you just want to keep private. Yeah. You don't want to showcase. And so, sometimes it'd be like, oh, you could get this product for free, or you could get this trip for free, like something like that. And you're like, well, sometimes I just want to be private. Totally. And I don't want to share things.
And I have felt that pull more and more, especially as the kids get bigger. And especially when it comes to like travel and trips. I'm like, we're just going to go. And like, maybe I'll share about it later, or maybe I'll just say like, we did this weekend, and prefer that like a lot. I mean, unless there was something absolutely fantastic and something we couldn't pass up that I actually think would really interest blog readers and stuff, like for the most part, I've stepped away from a lot.
There is this thing about privacy as content creators. Like, we obviously started this before we had kids, and, you know, there were certain things that we shared and there were certain things that we didn't. Is there certain things that are off limits that you just don't share? Because you're pretty open from my point of view, you seem really open.
Yeah, I am. But I also try to think of it from the perspective of like, what I want this shared. And so like, if the kids are fighting, I'm not going to be like, well, let's film this and show everybody to be relatable. Like, no, I'm not. Like, I might say like, oh my gosh, things were crazy today, but I'm not going to like put a camera in front of my kid's face if they're crying or angry or whatever. Like, that's private time. And I think as they get older and they're more aware of things, like I've just found myself pulling back. Like, you see the least amount of our 9-year-old. And that's not because I don't want to show him and share all of his stuff. Like, of course I would love to, like, he's our whole world. But I also realize like he's 9 and no, his friends don't have phones or anything yet, but like that's coming. And so I want to be mindful of like, when I was sharing a little bit more about life with a 9-year-old during his birthday, I was like, there's some things like I just don't think I'm going to share, like certain like school conflicts or, stuff that we've kind of dealt with here and there, like with friends or whatever, nothing's been very dramatic yet. Like, he's a very easygoing kid, but I also think like, I try to ask myself like what I want this shared when I was a super, hypersensitive, emotional preteen or teen. And I feel like that's why like I've already started pulling back with our 9-year-old, and I think that'll just continue to happen more and more. And I've kind of like leaned into some of the recipes and tried to kind of focus on content that isn't just the kids all the time anymore.
Yeah. And I was on a mommy blogging trip, if you will, and there was a mommy blogger and we were talking. She's like, oh, fitness is your thing. That's awesome. That's really smart, because if you're just in the mommy blogging business, you're going to get to a certain point where you can't share your kids' problems anymore. Because at that time, I think I was sharing about like breastfeeding and potty training. And she's
I got ripped apart for sharing potty training. It's like, what?
Oh, really?
That's one thing I'm like, if my mom shared about my potty training experience, I think I'd be okay. Like, it's going to be all right. Yeah.
But she was saying, she's like, you're lucky that you have fitness because you're going to age out of this stuff. You can't talk about bullying on your blog.
Totally.
That's, those are things. And so I thought that was so interesting. And I never thought about it because at that point in my career, I was like, do I go more mommy? And she was kind of like, no, you don't. The family, lifestyle, food, which I feel like is more the direction that you've gone into. And one thing that, I mentioned this before we started recording, is it's just like, there is I shouldn't say a lot. There are ebbs and flows of negativity in the online world. And I feel like, to be honest, right now with Instagram, we're kind of in a positive place because usually your content gets shown to just your followers. But sometimes you'll get a post that goes viral, and that's when the negativity comes. And I know that you and I have both dealt with our certain variation of, haters. How do you deal with it? You just ignore it, or at least, sorry. I just answered for you.
Yeah, I do. But I joke that my PR degree has helped me deal with like negativity more than anything else, because I think I don't get a lot on social media because I'm not overly active on social media. So like, I truly don't get much at all there. I think that there's bigger fish to fry. They're going after those 1 million+ follower people. So I don't get a ton there, which is nice.
You never know. I shared a muddy video of Elle that went viral, and the people were like, you are a bad mother. You let her get muddy.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of videos of the kids that were really, really funny or like whatever. And I was like, this is so funny. And I'm like, I didn't share it because I was terrified of it actually taking off. Like, it was really funny stuff that like we sent it to friends and family, and like they were all dying. And I'm like, but I don't want Ryder going viral. Like, it's just not my kid, like, sure, if it was me that was doing something funny, whatever. I'm really thick skinned at this point, but not when it comes to my kids. Like, so yeah, that would be intense.
And that's what happened to Elle. Yeah. Like, I started getting emails from these like there are literally sites that buy viral videos to like plaster them everywhere. Gosh. And I said no to everyone because I was like, shoot. And I was almost like, do I take this down? Because like, I didn't think it was going to go viral. I just thought it was like a cute little like video of Elle. And I was just like, but it made me realize that it's like, like this is forever. And, so I have to be a little bit more picky about it. People always say, like, friends in real life, they're like, how do you do this? Day in and day out with some of these negative comments. But it sounds like you don't get the negative comments
no.
anymore.
I mean, I still like, there's always going to be people like that. I think I just had some like really, really tough moments earlier on in blogging where I feel like it was before social media was there, and like, there was just a lot of attacking all the time. And that was very hard. But it also was very eye-opening because I can be a bit of like an internet super sleuth. And I remember typing in people's IP addresses to be like, who are these people? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I did nothing to you. And I found this one person's blog. She had her own blog. She didn't realize that I could find this. And when I read this woman's blog, I was like, oh my gosh, this person is so, like, they have so much going on and so many things that they're dealing with. And I don't even like want to share it here because it was like awful. And I'm reading this and I'm like, this is not me that this person is angry with. Like, she's got serious mental health stuff. And so I'm not saying I can take constructive criticism. And I think it's pretty easy at this point in our blogging career to realize like, okay, this is something I actually do need to take back. You know, like somebody actually commented when I was sharing that potty training post that I was talking about, they said, you know, you should probably remove the kid's name. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. I can say like one of the kids. So like, they don't know who it was. And I was like, that was actually very helpful. So I can handle constructive criticism and that's valuable. But the people that are just like, you suck. I hate you. I hate your family. Like, you know, I'm like, all right, this is like, happy people do not go like seek this out. Like happy people are not looking for places on the internet where people are just trashing people. They are not looking to, if I see something I don't like on Instagram, I'll literally unfollow it or I like move along. Like I just don't understand that characteristic that makes you want to like spit fire at people, especially like over stupid stuff. And the thing is, it's all predictable at this point. Like if you see a video on Instagram that has 2 million views, I can watch it and I could literally predict like half the comments are going to be like this, half the comments are going to be like this before you even click them because it's such a mess. And like, that's how the internet is. And I think the more you can realize like, all right, I know who I am. I'm secure in who I am. I'm secure with my friends, my family, the people that know me, and try to keep that all away is helpful. But it's also something that's unavoidable.
You never know what's going on behind closed doors. You never had any
I've
idea.
had people, it's only happened like twice where I like responded to their comment, but I had 2 people email me back and they were like, listen, like that was truly not about you. Like I was really, really upset with my husband because XYZ and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you know, like I really, really, really appreciate you taking the time to say that because like it did stick with me. I did think about that comment. I always say I give myself 24 hours. If it's really bad, I'm like, all right, 24 hours. This day's just going to kind of suck because it's going to be in the back of my mind. But tomorrow I'm going to be fine. And it's always kind of been how it's worked for me.
I need to apply that 24 hours because I'm ADHD Aries and I'm just like so quick to attack and like respond. And that's why I need to do the 24 hours.
But then it also
because
spirals. Like that's the one thing. Like sometimes like I can take the heat. Like if it's like a negative comment, I'm like, I can handle this. And I want to respond. But then everybody else weighs in and I'm like, I don't even want to deal with this. Like delete and move on because like while I can like have this conversation with you, I know it's going to become this like tornado of like just a disaster in the comment section that I'm like, this is not even like worth it. And like, sometimes I'll try to email them directly, but 9 times out of 10 it bounces back because I didn't use the real email. So, you know.
And one thing you can do on Instagram now is you can edit to who can comment on your posts to just be followers. Because most negative comments come from people who are not following.
Gotcha.
So if that ever happens, you can go in and modify
I'm not
that.
exposed to enough people, but that is helpful.
Well, trust me, like YouTube was the place where I would get so
you've
much
been trained
negativity.
for this for decades plus.
And so that's why I kind of was like, I don't feel like making YouTube videos anymore. People are so negative. Yeah. This podcast now goes on the YouTube channel, and that's kind of was like why I wanted to do it. But the Instagram world has been so kind until I kind of like exploded the past year. And now I kind of get some of the negativity, but then I weed them out. And then, you know, I just keep being me. And I think for anyone watching this, because I know we have people who are just listening to this for entertainment, but then we also have people who are listening to this probably trying to grow their account. And I think from hearing Julie's story, basically, you have to ignore the haters. You have to focus on your zone of genius, do what you love, and be consistent about it. And if you do hear, you know, negativity, if it's constructive criticism, take it, accept it. But if it's, you know, something that's just nasty and mean-spirited, wait 24 hours and then move on. So I like to finish these interviews with a rapid fire, and most of these are health related. Some of them are kid related, and they're pretty easy. And so yes or no answers. Okay. First one is intermittent fasting. Yes or no?
No.
What time do you work out?
It varies, but like since having kids, mid-morning is usually my go-to.
Same. Are your kids picky eaters?
Yes, but we're like seeing the light.
What app do you spend the most time on for personal use for social media?
For personal, I guess it's kind of business related too. It would be Instagram, I guess.
So you're not a
Amazon.
TikToker. Not social media, but
Oh yeah, not
I
social
guess
media.
I could
Sorry.
change that. Just
yeah,
say
yeah.
no, but that if that's where you spend most of your time.
No, it is Instagram. Mhm.
Wait, I didn't ask this question. Do you have an email list?
I don't.
You do have an
I
email
know
list.
this is like a major faux pas in this industry, and I've been told this for like over a decade. I got nothing. I'm like, I only have so much time, and it just goes on the blog. I know. It's crazy.
I mean, I get emails from you, but I guess it's just from your RSS.
Yeah, people can sign up just to receive blog posts, but that's it.
All right. Well, can I give you like a to do?
Do an email
Just set
list.
one up on Flowdesk.
I've
So
been told this
easy.
forever,
So
Sarah, and
easy.
I've never done it.
I love
Awful.
that though. But that's you. You know your zone of genius,
Yeah.
and you like to do the
Stick on the
blogging.
blog,
There you
yeah.
go. Okay. And so, well, the question was going to be what platform do you use for email, but you don't.
yeah.
So we're going to skip it. Favorite protein bar?
You know, Burn Boot Camp has a chocolate peanut butter, and I really like that. And then Aloha Protein, they have a chocolate mint. So those are my two.
Aloha's a popular one. Do you dry brush?
No.
I don't either. Red light therapy, yes or no?
I mean, I'd try it. I have not.
Cold plunging?
No, never. I hate cold water. Like, hate it. Like, if it's cold in the pool, my kids want to swim. I'm like, Ryan, will you go swim with them? I hate cold water.
I don't blame you. I've done it twice. Sauna.
Yes, absolutely. That's fabulous.
And if you had, and this is more than one word, one sentence of advice for content creators who are starting out, what would you tell them?
I guess I would say a one word.
No, you can do
Okay.
sentence.
I'm like, wait, what was it? I would say pick something that you have endless ideas about to be like what you focus on. So mine was pretty easy because it was my life. I can talk about anything, but just pick something that is not going to be a fad to you, like something that you're going to love, that you could see yourself loving in 10 years, 20 years. And then, yeah, just kind of staying true to who you are. Don't get stuck in that comparison trap. Don't try to be like this other creator that you see just soaring. Like you have something wonderful to give to and to kind of lean into that.
And I didn't ask this above, but this is kind of one more businessy question. So as creators, we have lots of different buckets. What are your buckets? I didn't ask you this because you don't have a newsletter, but I'm assuming, well, you tell me what your buckets are for like how you make money, if you will, because that's everyone's favorite question to ask us.
I always say my blog is my backbone, and that makes money based on page views. So if people come visit my blog, it's free for them, but I get little kickbacks from my ad network. And
do you do Raptive?
I do.
Or are you with someone
Raptive,
different?
that's who I use. Yeah. So that's still like, that would still allow me to do this full time. So the blog is still the backbone. Affiliate links have been just massive for me in a way that I never saw coming. And I think I was sharing like fashion posts or like little things in our house like years ago before affiliate links were even a thing. So it's just stuff I've always loved sharing. And I think hopefully people realize like I am linking to stuff that I love and that I use and I kind of show it in our home or in our life. And so Amazon has been very, very wonderful for me and for like just kind of being able to do what I want to do on my own timeline without anybody telling me what I have to say, when I have to share it. Like it's just super organic way to share things that I like. And so those are my two primary ones. And then brand partnerships, which I have kind of shied heavily away from, I will still do here and there.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to share?
I guess just encouragement. If there's anybody that's kind of like in the entrepreneurial space with really young kids, I feel like we are sort of starting to see the light with it, with our youngest being 4. We have a 4, 6, and a 9-year-old. And now I feel like I can catch my breath a little bit. And like I have some more predictable work windows that aren't just when the kids are asleep, when the kids are napping, whatever. So just encouragement for the younger moms out there, now that I'm not one, that it will get a little bit easier. You will have some time to yourself again, and you won't feel like you're being pulled in every direction every single day. I mean, a lot of days still, but not every day.
And my last bonus question. Do you have contractors that help you with all of this? Because surely you can't do all of this.
Yeah, so
like 2 or 3 days.
I hate photography. Hate it. Like I hate taking photos. I actually don't even like being in photos. But I hired somebody to do all of my recipe photography, and she is wonderful. Her name is Krista, and I've passed her on to other food bloggers because she is so talented and she does a great job and she loves it. And so she's great. So yes, letting go of that a couple of years ago was huge for me because it would take me so long and then my pictures were still trash. So why not use somebody that actually is talented? And then I also hired a company recently to help me go back through old content. So I have so many decades now. I have like almost 2 decades of content on my blog. And somebody kind of said, you can work smarter, not harder with some of your old content that's out there. If you just, kind of rework these posts, maybe add new photography, whatever. And so hiring a company to kind of identify which posts could get more traction on Google and could perform better with SEO has been huge. And it's an investment, but they've been worth it tenfold, where I've hired like one-off people to help do this and it never panned out. But this group, it's called Influencer SEO. If anybody is a blogger out there and wants them to help, and they will send you, I get outlines so that I can just follow. They have keywords, everything. And then I just go through my old blog posts and I work on those. Right? And I actually enjoy doing that. So that is another, I guess, kind of contractor that I utilize as well.
That's yes, because you, who's it, Brittany and Lexi, all three of you guys, your primary thing is the ads on your blog. And like, that's something that I personally need to like revisit and like kind of bolster at, because I've kind of shifted what platforms I use, and it's just kind of gotten really clunky. And I'm like, how do I maintain like the searchability?
A big part of that was too thinking ahead for the future, when like I'm going to be navigating away from sharing so much of my life and my children, and like, you know, early motherhood where like the kids aren't embarrassed, or, you know, they're still fine with it. But I think I'm like, okay, a 15-year-old, like they're not going to want to be on my blog. And like, so I want to be able to have something sustainable. And so that was kind of what motivated me to look into that, and like how I could update old content. And I don't even have to like reshare it on the blog. I could just like publish it a month ago, so nobody even has to see it that's already seen it. But it still is like a little bit more current in Google rankings, which has been really cool.
So interesting. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on with me. Everybody can find you. It's literally just pbfingers.com,
yes,
right?
It is. And that's the same with social media. Always PB Fingers. Yep.
Which is when you know somebody's been around for a long time, when they can get all the same name on all of them.
Yes, it works. And even like if people see my husband, they'll be like, are you PB Fingers' husband? He's like, it's never Julie, it's PB Fingers. I'm like, yeah.
We get Christmas cards to the
Fits. Oh, yeah. Sarah Fit. Always.
Yep. Yeah. And like once I checked into a hotel and they were like, we don't have your last name. And all of a sudden I was like, can you look up Fit? And it was
oh my gosh. Oh, wow.
All right. Well, thank you, Julie, so much. And thank you all of you guys. We will see you guys next week. All right. Take care. Bye.